Welcome to your deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling code migration.
Oh, yeah.
It's a buzzword you hear all over in tech, but um, what does it really mean? And why should you care?
Right.
Well, imagine if switching your software's language could lead to major savings,
Wow.
like a 30% drop in expenses just by going to open source options.
Yeah.
That's the kind of impact we're talking about today.
I think it's fascinating, how this need to migrate code really highlights how technology is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
Businesses are always looking for ways to improve their software, and sometimes that means switching to a whole new language.
Okay, so let's break this down. What exactly is code migration?
Well, at its core, code migration is the process of shifting a software application from one programming language to another. It's kind of like translating a book into a different language, but instead of words, you're translating lines of code.
So it's more than just a simple copy and paste job.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What drives companies to undertake this kind of complex translation?
Well, there are three major reasons why businesses choose to migrate their code. First, technology is always advancing. Newer languages often offer better performance, enhanced security features, or improved support compared to older languages.
So it's about staying ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
What are the other reasons?
Well, the second is cost efficiency.
Okay.
That plays a significant role. Just imagine a company that's stuck with a programming language that requires expensive licensing fees.
Oh, yeah.
By migrating to an open source language like Python, they can eliminate those recurring costs.
That's a really compelling argument for migrating.
Right.
What about that third reason?
Well, the third reason is maintainability and scalability.
Okay.
As software grows and evolves, it needs to be easy to maintain and adapt to new challenges. Migrating to a newer, more modern language can make the code base easier to manage and scale for future growth.
This is already painting a much clearer picture of why code migration matters. It's not just a techie thing, it's a strategic business decision. But let's get into the nitty-gritty. Is this migration process a simple swap, or is it more involved?
It's definitely more intricate than just swapping out lines of code. Our sources actually break it down into 5 key areas. Think of it as a checklist for success.
Okay.
It starts with a thorough assessment of the existing code base, understanding its dependencies, complexities, and potential challenges.
So it's like a doctor doing a full checkup before major surgery.
Exactly. Then comes the planning phase.
Right.
This is where you define the goals of the migration, outline the steps involved, and develop a realistic timeline. This stage is all about creating a roadmap for a smooth transition.
A roadmap is essential for any complex project. What comes next on this checklist?
The actual code translation. This is where the magic happens.
Oh.
Developers use specialized tools and techniques to convert the code from the old language to the new one.
Now, our sources mention a specific example of migrating from PHP to Python. I'm assuming it's not just a one-to-one translation, right?
You're absolutely right. Even something seemingly straightforward, like a PHP to Python migration, involves a detailed checklist. It covers everything from analyzing the existing code base to setting up a staging environment for testing before going live.
Wow.
It's a meticulously detailed process.
So it sounds like it's all about minimizing risks and ensuring a seamless transition.
Exactly.
What are the final stages of this migration process?
Well, after translation comes rigorous testing. This is crucial to ensure that the migrated code functions flawlessly and meets all performance and security standards.
Right.
Automated testing tools play a big role here, helping to catch errors that manual testing might miss.
So it's like having a safety net
Yeah,
to catch any bugs before they cause problems.
for sure.
What's the final step?
Deployment and monitoring. Once the migrated code has been thoroughly tested, it's time to deploy it to the live environment.
Okay.
But the work doesn't stop there. Ongoing monitoring is essential to track performance, identify any issues that may arise, and ensure a smooth user experience.
This 5-step process really highlights the complexity involved in code migration.
Definitely.
This is a serious undertaking. But let's step back for a moment and think about our listeners. Why should someone who's not a software developer care about code migration?
That's a great question. I think understanding code migration, even at a high level, can make you a more informed consumer of technology. When you hear about a company switching to a new language, you'll understand the potential benefits and challenges they're facing. You'll be able to read between the lines of those tech announcements.
So it's like having insider knowledge even if you don't write code yourself.
Exactly.
So it's about understanding the impact of technology on businesses and consumers.
What about from a leadership perspective?
Well, if you were in a position to lead a company, understanding code migration could help you make informed decisions about your own technology stack. Would migrating your code give you a competitive edge? Improve efficiency? These are all questions you'd be better equipped to answer. So there's real value in understanding this process, even if you're not the one writing the code. It's about seeing that bigger picture of how software evolves.
Precisely. And speaking of real-world impact, our sources have some compelling examples of how code migration has made a tangible difference for businesses.
Let's hear those examples. I'm curious to see how these theoretical benefits translate into real-world success stories.
Well, one case study highlights a financial services company that was able to reduce its development and operational expenses by a remarkable 30%,
Wow.
simply by migrating to Python.
30% reduction is significant.
Yeah.
That's a powerful testament to the cost-saving potential of migrating to an open-source language.
Right.
Did the sources mention any other success stories?
Absolutely. Another example features an e-commerce platform that saw a 25% drop in hosting costs after migrating to Python and the Django framework. These real-world cases really demonstrate how code migration can lead to tangible financial benefits.
Those examples are compelling, but I'm also curious about the potential downsides. Did the sources mention any challenges or risks associated with code migration?
They certainly did.
Okay.
While code migration offers, numerous advantages, it's essential to acknowledge those potential downsides.
Right.
One key risk is the possibility of downtime during the migration process. This can disrupt operations and potentially impact revenue.
Downtime is a major concern for any business that relies heavily on its software.
Oh, for sure.
What other challenges did the sources highlight?
Another challenge is the learning curve associated with the new programming language.
Yeah.
Developers may need time to familiarize themselves with the syntax, libraries, and best practices of the new language.
Right.
This can lead to delays and increased development costs.
It's like learning a new language in the real world.
Exactly.
It takes time and effort to become fluent.
Yeah.
Did the sources mention any other potential drawbacks?
Yes, the overall cost of the migration itself is a significant consideration.
Okay.
Remember those 5 key areas we discussed earlier? Each stage involves costs from assessment and planning to code translation testing and deployment.
So while there are potential cost savings in the long run, the initial investment can be substantial.
Right.
It sounds like companies need to carefully weigh the costs and benefits before embarking on a code migration journey.
Precisely. A thorough cost-benefit analysis is crucial.
Yeah.
But let's not forget that successful code migration is only half the battle. There's another crucial aspect we need to discuss: data migration.
Data migration. That sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on what that entails?
Imagine moving a vast library to a new building.
Right.
You wouldn't just move the books haphazardly.
Right.
You'd need a carefully orchestrated plan to ensure that every book is transferred safely, organized correctly, and accessible in the new location. Data migration is similar.
That's a helpful analogy.
Yeah.
So data migration involves moving all the data associated with the software to the new environment.
Exactly. It encompasses transferring all the data, including customer information, financial records, product catalogs, and anything else essential for the software's operation.
Wow.
This data needs to be moved securely, accurately, and without any loss or corruption.
Sounds like a delicate and complex operation.
It is.
Are there any specific steps involved in ensuring a successful data migration?
Our sources highlight several key steps.
Okay.
It starts with creating comprehensive backups of the existing data.
Right.
This ensures that you have a safety net in case anything goes wrong during the migration process.
Backups are essential for any data-sensitive operation.
Absolutely.
What other steps did the sources mention?
Data mapping is crucial.
Okay.
This involves meticulously matching the data fields in the old system to the corresponding fields in the new system.
Right.
Ensuring accurate data mapping prevents data inconsistencies and errors after the migration.
So it's like creating a detailed blueprint for how the data will be organized in the new environment.
Exactly.
What other considerations are there?
Data integrity and security are paramount throughout the entire process. You need to implement robust security measures to protect the data during transit and ensure its integrity in the new environment.
Data breaches can be catastrophic for any company.
Oh, absolutely.
It sounds like data migration requires just as much planning and attention to detail as code migration itself.
You're absolutely right.
Wow.
And just like with code migration, Having a well-defined strategy and a skilled team is essential for a smooth and successful data migration.
So we've covered the why, the what, and the how of code migration.
Yeah.
But there's one big elephant in the room that we haven't addressed yet: the cost.
You're right.
Code migration sounds like a major undertaking, so I imagine it can get pretty expensive.
It can.
What insights did our sources provide regarding the financial aspects of this process?
Wow.
Our sources break down the cost of code migration into 5 main components: development costs, infrastructure costs, testing and QA costs, maintenance and support costs, and opportunity costs.
Okay, let's break those down further. Starting with development costs. What are the key factors driving expenses in this area?
Development costs encompass the expenses associated with the actual work of migrating the code.
Right.
This includes not just the salaries of the developers involved,
Uh-huh.
but also any training expenses required if the team needs to learn a new programming language.
So investing in the skills and expertise of the development team is a crucial part of managing development costs.
Exactly.
What about infrastructure costs? What factors contribute to those expenses?
Infrastructure costs include setting up new servers and development environments to support the migrated code.
Okay.
This might involve purchasing new hardware, subscribing to cloud services, or incurring licensing fees if the new language or framework requires them.
So ensuring that the technical infrastructure is ready to handle the migrated code is another key consideration.
Right.
What about testing and QA costs? Why are those so important in the context of code migration?
Testing and quality assurance are absolutely crucial to ensure that the migrated software functions flawlessly and meets all the required performance and security standards. These costs can include investing in automated testing tools, hiring third-party QA teams, and allocating sufficient time and resources for thorough testing.
So thorough testing is essential to minimize the risk of bugs and ensure a smooth transition to the new code base.
Yes.
What about ongoing maintenance and support costs? What should companies anticipate in that area?
Maintenance and support costs cover the ongoing expenses associated with keeping the migrated software running smoothly.
Right.
This can include bug fixes, performance optimization, security updates, and ongoing support contracts.
So even after the initial migration is complete, companies need to budget for ongoing maintenance and support to ensure the long-term success of the project.
Exactly.
What about opportunity costs?
Yeah.
How do those factor into the overall financial picture?
Opportunity costs represent the potential revenue lost during any downtime or performance issues that may occur during or after the migration process. While these costs can be difficult to quantify precisely, they are a crucial factor to consider.
It's like the saying, time is money.
Yeah.
Any disruption to business operations can have a financial impact.
Right.
So while code migration can offer, significant benefits,
Yeah,
it also comes with a potentially hefty price tag.
that's right. But as we've discussed, those costs need to be weighed against the potential long-term gains.
Right.
A successful code migration can lead to cost savings down the road through increased efficiency, reduced maintenance, and access to a wider pool of talent.
It's a strategic investment rather than just a pure expense.
Exactly.
However, the human element of code migration is equally important. Let's delve into that aspect next.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the technical details,
Right.
but code is ultimately written by people,
Mm-hmm.
and those people are directly impacted by these migration projects. What insights did the sources offer about the human side of code migration?
Well, our sources emphasize the importance of supporting and empowering developers throughout the migration process.
Okay.
Code migration can be a stressful and challenging time for them. Imagine learning a new language, adapting to new tools, and facing tight deadlines all at once.
Yeah.
It's crucial to provide developers with the training resources and support they need to navigate these changes successfully.
So it's not just about technical skills.
Right.
It's also about creating a supportive work environment.
Absolutely. It's about fostering a culture of collaboration, communication, and psychological safety. Developers need to feel comfortable asking questions, raising concerns, and sharing their knowledge with one another without fear of judgment.
It sounds like creating a positive and supportive environment is key to a successful migration.
It is.
Did the sources offer any specific recommendations for achieving that?
Well, the sources suggest that clear communication and transparency are essential. Keeping developers informed about the goals, progress, and challenges of the migration can help reduce anxiety and uncertainty.
Right.
Additionally, providing opportunities for professional development and training can empower developers to embrace the new language and tools confidently.
Investing in the well-being and professional growth of developers seems to be a recurring theme in the sources.
It
It
is.
makes sense. They're the ones on the front lines of this complex process.
Precisely. And when developers feel supported and valued, they're more likely to be engaged, productive, and committed to the success of the migration.
Yeah.
It's a win-win situation for everyone involved.
This has been an enlightening conversation about code migration.
Yeah, it has.
We've explored the technical intricacies, the business implications, and the human element of this complex process. But before we wrap up, I want to shift gears for a moment and tap into your expertise on a related topic.
Sure, I'm happy to share my insights. What's on your mind?
Throughout this deep dive, we've explored why companies choose to migrate their code, the challenges they face, and the potential benefits they can reap. But we've mainly focused on existing companies, organizations that already have established code bases and are grappling with the decision of whether to migrate or not.
You're right. We've primarily examined code migration as a reactive measure, a response to evolving technological landscapes or pressing business needs.
Exactly. But what about startups? Those fresh-faced ventures just starting to build their digital empires.
Yeah.
What about the entrepreneurs and developers crafting their visions from scratch?
Right.
They don't have the burden of legacy code to contend with.
It's an interesting perspective. It's one thing to navigate the complexities of code migration when dealing with legacy systems and years of accumulated technical debt. It's an entirely different ballgame when you have the freedom to choose your technological foundation from the outset.
Yeah. It's like building a house. Renovating an old house comes with its own set of challenges.
Right.
But building a new house from the ground up allows for more creative freedom and the ability to incorporate the latest technologies and design principles.
That's a great analogy. Imagine the possibilities if you could step into the shoes of a founder, a visionary architecting their software from the ground up. What language would you choose?
Right.
What framework would best suit your vision?
It's a tantalizing thought experiment, isn't it?
It is.
To have the power to select the building blocks of your digital creation unburdened by the constraints of legacy systems.
It's almost like being handed a blank canvas and a palette of vibrant colors. Each representing a different programming language, a different approach to shaping your digital masterpiece.
And with that freedom comes a responsibility. A weighty decision that could shape the trajectory of your entire venture.
Right.
How would you guide someone faced with this decision?
I'd advise them to consider a multitude of factors. Firstly, the nature of the project itself. What type of software are they building? A web application, a mobile app, a data analysis tool. Different languages excel in different domains.
So it's about aligning the language with the specific needs of the project.
Right.
What other factors should they consider?
Scalability is crucial.
Okay.
Will the software need to handle a large number of users or transactions? Some languages are better suited for building scalable systems than others.
And what about the long-term maintainability of the code base?
That's another important consideration. Choosing a language known for its readability and well-structured syntax can make the code base easier to maintain and update over time.
It sounds like choosing the right language for a new project is a multifaceted decision with no easy answers.
It is.
What advice would you give to someone struggling to make this choice?
I'd encourage them to research different languages, experiment with them, and seek advice from experienced developers. There's a wealth of information available online and within the developer community. Ultimately, the best choice will depend on the specific needs and goals of the project and the individual preferences of the development team.
This conversation has sparked a lot of questions in my mind. If our listeners are feeling the same way, I highly recommend checking out LearnXYZ-In.
Yes.
It's a fantastic resource for exploring different programming languages, learning new skills, and connecting with the developer community.
LearnXYZ-In is an excellent resource for both seasoned developers and those just starting their coding journey. They offer a wide range of courses, tutorials, and articles on various programming languages and software development concepts. I highly recommend it.
This deep dive has given us a new appreciation for the world of code migration and the challenges and opportunities that come with choosing the right programming language for a new project. It's been a pleasure exploring these topics with you.
The pleasure was all mine. I always enjoy these insightful conversations.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes.
We hope you found it informative and engaging.
If you enjoyed this episode, we encourage you to visit our website, like this podcast video, and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking explorations into the world of technology and beyond.
Thank you, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep questioning.